It was the hot topic during fall camp. Who's starting on Georgia's offensive line? And Kirby Smart said, that doesn't matter. We're playing a lot of guys. He lived up to that promise. That's Brent Rollins. I'm Dayne Young. This is Film Don't Lie from UGAsports.com. And Brent, when the rotations came, we had to keep up pretty quickly because this was guys like Warren McClendon not being in there for a moment or sliding over to the left side, things that I didn't necessarily expect. We're going to show you some things that caught our eye with the offensive line, but your initial reaction from watching the game and looking at PFF data.
The rotation is what I think that from a data perspective, they kept him clean. The pass blocking was good. It wasn't really dominant run blocking, but it was edge blocking. It wasn't really necessarily interior blocking where you're going to get, from a grading perspective, get highlighted. But the rotation was the absolute biggest story to me, because it's like McClendon's not in there. All right, is he hurt? What's wrong? And then he comes back out, and then he's at left tackle, and then different guards are in. And you're like, okay, let's go. Let's see some different guys. And I think that's when you don't have. I think they have clear cut guys that they want to play. Maybe not necessarily, at least left tackle, right tackle, and center.
Yeah.
But for the most part, when you've got other combinations and you're dominating the game, get those guys reps like they did. Phenomenal job.
Well, let's recap those three that you just said, because I think it's pretty clear cut now. Starting left tackle is Broderick Jones. If something happens, they're moving Warren McClendon over there. He's the backup left tackle. Your starting center, Cedric Van Pran. If something happens, Warren Erickson is the backup center. At right tackle, starter is Warren McClendon. If he can't play that for whatever reason, moves over to left, or if he got injured, Amarius Mims is your backup right tackle. Guards, that's what we're talking about a lot here, because a lot of guys played, and I think that it's not really solidified anywhere. Early on, these guards were really helped out by Stetson Bennett, because we're about to see some mistakes that happen at right guard and at left guard, and Stetson Bennett covered for it. Didn't really matter because the quarterback was so darn good.
Yep. And I think the first play that we look at is one where it's guard tackle counter. Mm-hmm. It's early in the game, and this is one where I think the biggest key for this, and I would bet from a coaching perspective, he's talking to them to understand the point of the play, where Darnell actually gets beat, because we talked about this guy in the Film Don't Lie preview of the game. 3 was a good player. Dorless is a very good player for Oregon. He didn't really do much of anything in this game, but this play, he beat Darnell at the point of attack.
And then he has 3 guys clustered around him, Darnell being one of them.
And that created an absolute logjam. But if you go back to right before Truss hits Dorless, right here, I think this is one where I would say, all right, just understand the point of the play. Understand that Darnell's going to just keep pushing that guy down the line of scrimmage, and that he's really good and huge and awesome. And while the penetration is there, he's, I think, still going to be able to push him sort of down the line, recover for the most part, and push him down the line. So I would have liked to have seen, you'd like to have seen him kind of take Bo out a little bit, much like we saw when they were handing it to Kenny Mack and doing a pass against Michigan. But what happens there with the hit is that it creates a logjam. Kenny does a great job of getting what he was able to get on the play.
Because if right here, if this block is continued to be sealed by Washington, which it is, let's take Truss and move him to right here. Well, then all of a sudden, now we got something to work with. Yeah, because all you're saying is Kenny Mack, make sure you get past this guy, and then you're one-on-one right here.
Well, and you got Broderick leading through the hole as well. And I think it's one of those things where that's the danger of any sort of counterplay is penetration, especially play side penetration. But in this one, it wasn't the greatest. And by the way, the other big point, I saw this live and I noted it down and wrote it down for later. I am greatly thankful that Brock Bowers is an elite athlete. Watch him on this play, because it about ended his season. He's right there.
Goes up.
Right now, he sees his teammate shoulder helmet going into his left knee and jumps to the right. I mean, it was phenomenally instinctive play. Boom, jumps and gets out of the way versus. Wow.
See, I didn't even notice that.
Versus left ACL injury or sprain or something. Great job being an athlete. thankful he's a great athlete.
And then Darnell picks up the ball. Good on you, Darnell. And then this one, I think everyone saw it because I think ESPN highlighted it too, or ABC. This is unfortunate for Tate Ratledge, but
and it's one thing. We talk about this all the time, especially with pass blocking. How these guys are humongous, and they're in such tight spaces. And oftentimes, when we were highlighting, oftentimes how they don't get their feet step on each other's feet. And what happens here? You get foot on it, and you lose your balance, and you got to adjust accordingly. And Stetson does a great job of getting outside the pocket and just throwing the ball away, live to play another day, and also avoiding a little ankle turn as well for him. But it's the nature of offense. It's tough. It's really tough in certain times, and there are times that you're going to have guys step on your feet.
Time for some beef. Jalen Carter's in here. Austin Blasky's in here.
I was shocked by that one, by the way. I thought that might be a Mims role. But so good for Blasky.
We knew Darnell was going to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just everything about this play says they're going here. They're going right here, Oregon. Let's get all our ducks in a row over here. And Stetson knows that too.
So if the watch-along show copycatters were doing this program, a.k.a. Peyton and Eli Manning, Peyton would not shut up on this play about Stetson's ball handling because everything about it is perfect. Ball in left hand, right hand, and then watch the biggest piece, eyes. Take the eyes to the play. Hey, I've handed the ball off. I'm going to look at the play and then go. And the most beautiful part, I saw the picture and watched 4. 4's like, hey, the ball's over there. Pointing to 0, who's coming down the line of scrimmage thinking that he's going to tackle the backside.
Yeah.
By the way, and what's amazing, and this is what we've talked about this on some of the other episodes, the discipline that Oregon's defense played with would be slightly concerning to me. Because, again, that's football. It's like youth football 101. Hey, 0, you're not making the tackle over there.
Yeah,
hang out in your area and stay at home.
Yeah.
Like that's youth football 101.
A lot of good things with Georgia's offensive line, too. I wanted to point out that early is a bit of a mess at the guard spot, but that's about the first drive and a half or so. And Stetson covered it up nicely. Like it really didn't slow Georgia down much, in part because Oregon didn't take advantage of it. But as the game went along, I thought Georgia's offensive line continued to get better and better and better.
Asserted its will, and it just became – a lot of it's just game plan. Game plan is, hey, we're going to attack the edges. So thus we're going to minimize the impact that our interior line guys. We're not asking them to just straight up move people all over the place. Now this is one.
Truss and Broderick Jones here.
This is a difficult block for Broderick Jones to reach the defensive lineman here. And what I would bet, and he does, and he kind of falls on him and gets there, and we get to it. And Truss works back a little bit. But what I would bet they talk about in the future is getting a little bit more of a piece. Because you can see that Truss gives it, the total left hand shove to him. But I would bet hey, let's get a little more of that, especially if it's a quicker guy, like not a huge
quick hand release. And that probably would help his timing too, because Truss ends up getting to the second level easy, and he has to find who's going to block here.
Yeah, and now he has to break down, and he's sort of overruns it himself in a way.
Yeah.
Versus being kind of a step back if he'd have taken a little bit more time. But still successful play for the most part. 5 yards.
Vision from Dayne Edwards to not just completely fall over what happens with Broderick Jones here. Productive play. Could have been better. This is one that they're gonna bring up the film of this, and they're gonna say we could have got a lot more yards out of this, but we still got some. So some things were good about this, some things were not so good about this.
And it's hard. And then when you're asked guys to make hard block, and a lot of times if you look at some of the defensive linemen that you're going to play against, some are more athletic, some are bigger. All right, the bigger guys, I don't need to maybe necessarily chip as much because they're not going to be as fast off the ball like that. Maybe get them a little moving different directions. But some of these quicker guys, all right, I need to get more of a chip, and that way give my guy enough time to get there.
How about some love for SVP here, center?
I mean, he's good. He's really stinking good.
Analysis from UGA Sports. Also some love for McConkey. I know he's not an offensive lineman, but dude blocks his butt off.
And then this is where what Darnell does for an offense just is game changing. He owns the edge, and you get. I mean, I think this was right before. Was this right before Milton's touchdown? Or almost touchdown. We got down to the one, but it's just you have no chance. Now Brock here.
Brock. This is not the greatest effort.
Well, he does sort of the anti thing that we always talk about. He tries to actually deliver a blow. Yeah. Like he really tries to deliver a blow there, and it kind of backfires against him a little bit because Sewell's also a 260-pound guy versus just playing defense in front of him and locking on. But
I just can't get enough of Mr. Van Pran here. Just taking the shopping cart, going to Publix or Kroger.
Well, shopping is a pleasure, by the way.
I mean, let's just
there.
take them on down. You're at the
second
10.
level.
Now
Don't grab too much.
Don't
grab too much shirt.
Yeah, I know. There was a little, but I think he had like a forearm to the throat. So yeah, grab the jersey. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, but still, he's a phenomenal player, and can't ask too much more from him. All right, so this play is a touchdown. One, because of Kendall Milton's great running ability at the point of attack. Two, Ratledge. It's again, these are hard blocks. These are not easy blocks that they're, the zone read to try to get your head across here. But he does a good job of fighting and taking the guy where he wants to go and staying with it. But stop right there. Go back just a little bit further. A little bit further. This is the reason this play is a touchdown. Right, a little more. Right there. Look where the heads and butts are of everybody else.
There's a
head to the right, butt to
the
left.
There's a head. There's a butt. There's a butt. There's a butt. I'm good at this, right?
So much of offensive line play is getting those two body parts in the right place because they're just big guys. I mean, they're going to keep them out of the way. But Truss here fights, gets his head right there. His head's inside. All right, now I'm going to work and get my head to the outside. Boom. Win.
And he stays with it. This is what's so good about this is all right, this is where my leverage is. I'm not releasing just because the running back is over here. Like, I'm going to keep sticking with this because if something happens and I keep pushing you this way, then Kendall Milton can see this and still do his thing.
And, you got the receiver clearing out. You got poor fits for the most part from a defensive perspective. Linebacker gets caught in traffic, but he just gets owned. It's formational, by the way, because of what Georgia's been doing and all the action going the other way. Like,
what you doing, my guy?
It's when you do these things like this, the details that they pay attention to versus the details that Oregon did not pay attention to, that you're going to win. And when your head and button is in the right place when you run the football, good things happen. Things
to be improved on Georgia's offensive line. I think some footwork needs to get a little better to stop things like what we saw from Tate Ratledge, because that can really destroy a drive if a lineman, breaks it down from the beginning of a play. Overall, though, I think we both look at this and say Oregon has a talented defensive front, and Georgia handled it.
Yes, very much so. They missed the one. I didn't realize this until they said it during the broadcast that Popo 50 that we looked at in the preview didn't play. Like, he hurt himself during the week, and that was a big miss for them along their defensive line. But Stetson, by the way, 5 pressure dropbacks, 31, basically not touched. There's countless times where he's just sitting in the pocket and has all day to throw, and in the end, run blocking, you don't want it to be a negative, because from a scheme standpoint, you can oftentimes scheme great run block, great running plays through that. Pass blocking, especially when it's a true pass set, when it's just drop back and you versus me or you versus the blitz, that can't be a negative, and it wasn't at all. Yes, against Oregon.
Georgia's offensive line will continue to build that cohesion. And I think the next time it's tested, probably at South Carolina. Tough atmosphere. Jordan Birch is out there. He's a good player. They have some guys at South Carolina. They'll have to communicate and do all the little things well. But they come home to Sanford Stadium and get to celebrate being national champions and 1-0. Hey, this has been Film Don't Lie from UGAsports.com. For Brent Rollins, I'm Dayne Young.